Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and showing you how I got this eye look with the new ABH Nouveau eyeshadow palette. So without further ado, let's get started. So this palette just launched. It is now available for £48 or 55 US dollars. I do have a couple of discount codes. I got mine for 20% off, which I was very happy about. All of the discount codes will be in my description box down below. So if you're looking for a little bit of a deal, a cheeky discount, then check those out. Hopefully at least one of those is still working and you can get some money off if you're interested in this palette. So this palette is, I feel like this is very much the comeback for ABH. It's been a long time since we saw a palette that looked like this, that was not a collaboration with a creator or makeup artist. It was a standalone ABH main brand, not a Norvina brand palette in their kind of standard size and shape, but there are some differences. So it is a similar size to the standard classic ABH palettes as far as the packaging goes, but there are 2 less shades in this new Nouveau palette, and they are much larger pans, so almost double the amount of product per pan, but 2 less shades to like their standard classic palettes that we all know and love. This is the Norvina palette per example, and you can see the size difference there in the pans, much smaller, 0.7 grams I believe. Yes, 0.71 grams in the Norvina per pan, and then in the new Nouveau it is 1.34, so almost double the amount of product per pan to these original. The packaging is way nicer, more luxurious, feels nicer in the hand, and doesn't have this horrible messy problem that the originals have with that suede kind of feel packaging. This now looks disgusting. This is a much nicer feeling and looking, and will stay cleaner. It looks more luxurious and it feels more, not necessarily heavier, but it just feels much more luxurious. The closing is that magnetic, and it's really quite a strong magnetic closure. The gold details is very chic, and I think this is a massive step forward for the brand as far as like how it looks and feels to use. So I do love what they've done with the packaging. I do love that they've given us a lot more product for our money, but kept it a really nice compact size. It's still actually thinner at the end, like narrower as far as the packaging, and still that lovely compact size. Although we've lost 2 shadows, I think that's quite a nice compromise. We get a lot more product and a more sort of cohesive and concise colour story. So speaking of the colour story, I was really drawn to this. It does kind of scream spring summer to me, but not in a very stereotypical, expected, overdone way. It's not all just full of peaches and pinks and just like a million palettes we've seen before. It's a bit earthy, it's a little bit more neutral. It's got some really nice different combinations in here, you know, some greens, some earthy, some grunge, for those who like a little bit of grunge in their eyeshadow palettes. And it just really does look to me like it kind of represents like the colours of nature in summer, as opposed to it being like an explosion of overly warm toned peaches. So let's have a little look at some swatches. This was my first time when I'm swatching these of feeling these shadows, and they feel very smooth, very creamy, and they swatched like a dream. I also really didn't see a lot of fallout. They didn't feel crumbly. They felt very soft, very creamy, and were gliding across my arm. That is a bare arm, no primer, no nothing like that, and I feel like they swatched beautifully. So this kind of tickled my pickle. When I was doing these swatches, I was already thinking, this feels different. The formula feels different. It feels nicer, softer, creamier, and very highly pigmented. One thing I noticed is that the shelf life of this palette says 12 months, whereas Norvina was 18 months. So that's just something I thought I'd point out for absolutely no reason, because I don't know about you, but shelf life and makeup, we don't know her. One last thing before we jump into the tutorial is that there are 3 shades in this new palette that are deemed not safe for the eye area. So those are Paloma, surprisingly, and perhaps less surprisingly, Metro and Wisteria. I say less surprisingly because these are the sort of typical colours that are usually not safe for the eye area in palettes like this. Really, most people just ignore that. It's up to you whether you still want to use these shades on the eye as they're deemed not eye safe. Typically what that means in palettes like this is that they may stain and they can cause a reaction for some people. It's not an issue I've ever had, but if you do have sensitive eyes and you have reacted to these pressed pigments before, easy for you to say, then that's something that you need to be aware of. So it's these 3 shades. Paloma surprises me because I can't imagine that that's a shade that's going to stain, so it may be one that could cause a reaction. But these 2 are the typical type of colours that you see as often being deemed not safe for the eye area. So that is all the info. Let's get on to this eye look. Okay, so my thoughts on this palette. I think the mattes performed beautifully. Very soft, very easy to blend and very easy to build. Absolutely not a speck of fallout. These kind of had a little less kick up than my previous experience with ABH shadows, but there is kick up, like as you push your brush into the pan, you do see some loose powder kicking up, but not as much as the typical ABH shadows. I definitely think they've worked on their formulas for this palette, which is great. The mattes were a dream to blend and build, and they just really were very soft and very easy to work with. The shimmers, again, very smooth, very reflective, a beautiful like high shine, but very smooth. Definitely, again, smoother than, and I'd say like less chunky than typical ABH shadows that I have tried before and typical palettes from ABH that I've tried before. I think the formula is definitely a step up for the brand, both in their shimmers and in their mattes. No fallout at all. I was looking really closely on my under eye area. I can't even see a single speck of fallout or glitter on my cheeks. I certainly didn't notice any. It certainly isn't going to be an issue. That I thought was really nice, that there wasn't a big mess, especially as I did my foundation first today. I appreciated that. But again, a lovely amount of pigment, a lovely amount of opacity on the lid straight off the bat. No damp brushes, no Fix Plus needed, no glitter adhesive needed. These are all applied really nicely, and I was really impressed. I really enjoyed playing with this today, and I was perhaps pleasantly surprised. I definitely feel like this is like a big comeback move for the brand. They've definitely kind of fallen off from their really massively hyped launches that they used to have a few years ago when the whole world was losing their marbles for every ABH release. I feel like they lost their way a little bit, and this for me is like the perfect step back to like classic ABH, what we know them for, these beautiful color stories in these lovely eyeshadow palettes with great formulas, keeping it simple. The color story is not something we have never in our lives seen before, but it is beautiful and kind of different for the season that we're in. And I just think it's a really nice classic ABH color story. Lots of people likening this to like the Mario palette way back in the day, the collaboration between Makeup by Mario and ABH that they did, one of their like all-time most popular palettes. And I think if we're taking a step back to that, then we're going in the right direction. I think this is going to be a great win for the brand and getting back to being the popular brand that it once was. I was really impressed with this. It's the first time I've been excited about a product from the brand in years, and it did not disappoint. In fact, it probably exceeded my expectations. So there you have it. Please let me know if you would like to see more looks with this palette. I could do maybe a 3 looks 1 palette video if you are interested in that. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.